Welcome everyone to our first masterclass on lifecycle assessment with Green Story. I'm very happy to introduce Dr. Muthu, our Chief Sustainability Officer, who will be walking you through all of this and giving an in-depth dive on lifecycle assessment, the best practices, the methodology, the pitfalls, all the fun stuff. And we'll be going through deep into the session and talking about how we do custom LCAs and LCAs at scale as well. Next slide, please. Just a quick introduction to Green Stories. So my name is Akhil. I'm the co-founder and CEO of the company. And what Green Story does is it basically makes sustainability easier for you when it comes to your products. We are the definitive product sustainability intelligence platform that's built for fashion, and it allows you to act fast, decide smarter, and lead confidently when it comes to your sustainability decisions across your brand. Next slide, please. Our team and offices, we have a team of 60 that's spread across the world. We started off in Canada and we have headquarters in the Netherlands. We also have a very large team in India. And we have, of course, a team in Hong Kong where Dr. Muthu sits as well. And we have worked with brands across the globe. So this is some of the brands that we work with currently, but we have done verifications, done LCAs, and other sustainability work for over 400 brands globally throughout the 9 years we've been active. On top of that, we are also one of the few Higg Index verifier bodies that are out there, and I believe the only SaaS platform of its kind. And we are also an EPD consultant. And on top of all of this, we follow the ISO system. So in line with that, we are fully compliant with ISO 27001, which is a very important step when it comes to ERP integrations and moving LCAs into scale. And that was the introductions out of the way. Let's go talk to the main introduction here with Dr. Muthu. He's our Chief Sustainability Officer. Most of you who are here know him. He's one of the first PhDs in environmental LCA in textiles and clothing. He has also authored over 170 books on textiles and LCA and published over 170 articles on sustainability. He's pretty much considered the leading expert in textile LCA, having established the LCA branches of many large companies and also kicked off our own. Previously, he was the head of sustainability at SGT and is the ex-head of the Environmental Services Division at Asia of SGS. He's also himself an independent verifier of EPD and is a member of the PCR Apparel Committee member under the EC, which is looking at a lot of the category rules, data sets, and all around that. Speaking of, he's also an EC project member of the PEF review, which approves all the databases and data sets for PEF 3.0. So this is also a good space to ask about PEF if you have any questions on that moving forward. With that, I will step aside and I will leave the floor to Dr. Muthu.
Thank you so much, Akhil. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you are. So thank you so much for your great deal of interest in terms of our, masterclass. Originally, it was intended to do it in person, but due to many unavoidable reasons, we wanted to do it online. But in a way, that's also quite good because I can have gathered a lot of people like yourself. So it's really good to speak to a wider audience group. So today it's a masterclass. So yeah, I want to deal it in a bit different way rather than usual commercial presentations. So it's a kind of masterclass on LCA. So I would like to share my experiences, insights, and whatever I gained in the space of LCA very specifically. Over a period of, let's say, 15 years, since 2008, I've been doing LCAs. So I just want to share whatever I gained. And again, if you have any questions or any clarifications you require from me, please, you're most welcome to stop or send me a message in the chat box. Obviously, I'll be having a a Q&A session at the end for 15 minutes to go through your questions. In case time is efficient or not sufficient to go through all the questions, don't worry, I'll absolutely reach out to you back with your answers later on. Right. So today, what I wanted to talk to all of you in terms of this, masterclass with LCA is, first I want to give you a very, a brief and very generic overview of what is LCA. Of course, many of you should know or must know. In case if anyone is quite new and you want to really know what is LCA is all about, then you must really look forward to hear from me. Then I want to really tell you what significance it has in terms of fashion sustainability, because you guys know that you are doing lot many things in terms of audits, environmental audits, chemical audits, with ZDHC, with HIG, with BPI, with so many organizations, and you are also doing so many certifications in terms of GOTS, GRS, whatnot. You are doing a lot many aspects into supply chain sustainability or fashion sustainability. So I want to talk about in specific what these LCAs are going to bring onto the table when it comes to benefits for an organization in terms of significance, in terms of the whole fashion sustainability space. Second one, I'm going to talk about what's our unique approach in terms of approaching the whole subject. As I told you before, you also heard from Akhil, so that I bring almost experience from 2008, so you can count my experience with so many years in only diving into LCA. And Greenstone is also a company almost doing LCS for a decade. So just we clubbed together and we wanted to tell you what is our unique approach in terms of looking at the whole subject, how we perceive the subject of LCA, and what is the approach we figured out to simplify and leverage the LCA data. I'll talk to you later about what is the importance of data when it comes to LCA. I always say that data is everything when it comes to LCA. So we'll talk about that in a greater deal, followed by which I'll be talking about how to integrate LCA insights into actionable brand strategies. Finally, last but not least, I'll wind this up with how can you scale this LCS up with our innovative SaaS platform, which we developed from Greenstone. Okay, so you can see it's kind of, I wish to give a blend of academic aspects of how, aspects of subject of LCA, how this is perceived from the academic front. And of course, it's very important that you have to bring this academic skill sets or knowledge to the action, to the ground reality. So I'll talk to you about how to do LCA study. For example, if you are a knitwear company, you are a fiber company, you are a spinner, you are a weaver, or you are into a complete a vertical setup where you get fibers from elsewhere, and then you produce a garment out of your factory. So what can you do in terms of LCAs? So that's all you can expect to hear from me in the next 30 minutes or 45 minutes or so. Right. Finally, I would invite one of my colleagues who is a product manager with LCA to demonstrate our SaaS platform with the example how our platform could be utilized to do LCS at scale. So she has kindly agreed to come over and to demonstrate with the video today, at the end of my presentation. So that's how I simply structured today's presentation. And let's move ahead now. So before I bring all of you to the world of LCA, I just want to tell you one thing, which is that you might ask, Dr. Muthu, why should we do LCAs? Very simple question. And the answer is also going to be very simple. Regulatory requirements. Not only that, there are multiple other reasons, but the main, driving force is regulatory requirement, or the requirement from the regulatory landscape. And this is something you absolutely have to know, that there are a lot of regulations which are coming up, which were already there, which are coming up, shaping up, and that's going to really change the entire fate of fashion and textile spaces sustainability. Some of the regulations, of course, it's huge, but I don't want to condense everything onto a slide. So I'm just giving you a glimpse. First, you have to know few very important regulations, which are all on a global level. Anyone who is in the trade has to be aware of. Number one, directive on green claims. You guys know, if you want to claim anything, for example, the t-shirt what I'm wearing, right? I want to claim this as a eco-friendly, sustainable product. I can't simply use whatever name I want. So there are few terms which I'm allowed to use, and when I'm allowed to use a term, that term has to be backed up with something. That something has to eventually come from the LCA, right? So that's called Directive on Green Claims. So in terms of this, September 2023, there was a provisional agreement signed. Formal adoption was done in November 2023, and the completion is early 2024, and followed by which countries will adopt, and they will apply after 24 months. So that's going to be really a significant move in terms of regulations, in terms of green claims. Next one is 2024 Eco Design, ESPR, Eco Design for Sustainable Products Regulation. The entire LCA is called as Eco Design. The reason is, after you develop the product, you go and correct it or you go and discard it, it's going to be a huge pace, and that will end up with more impacts. So what we generally do is, or we generally educate people, is that try to do this, impact study in the design stage itself. Thereby, like generally we say 80% of impacts can be reduced if we do it properly in the design stage, right? So that's why it's called eco design. And there is a regulation called ESPR, Eco Design for Sustainable Products Regulation. It is going to be in the first quarter of 2024, which is right now. The commission for adoption is being planned, and you can expect this anytime soon. And the next very important regulation is DPPI, which is Digital Product Passport Initiative. So that was the easiest draft regulation on DPPs published in last December. Final approval is expected anytime now. And the crux of the entire DPP initiative is LCA. If you don't do LCA of your products, you can't really do, including traceability. Next one is 2025 Fashion Sustainability and Social Accountability Act. So what does it mandate? It has mandated the disclosure of scope 1, 2, 3 emissions. You know what I'm talking about? I talk about carbon footprint with ISO 14064. It demands retailers and manufacturers in New York to map at least half of the supply chains to begin with. Don't think that that's the end, that's the beginning. So you have to eventually do the entirety of your supply chain. Okay, and then a bit far away, 26, 27, there's going to be a ESPR implementation, which is Eco Design for Sustainable Product Regulation implementation. I'm sure you might ask a question, Dr. Muthu, let's say these regulations are going to be, let's say, next year. Why should I act now? Am I right? I'm sure everyone else would be having the same question in your minds. My answer is, if you react or act at the time when the implementation is in force, you really cannot do much. So try to be a forerunner. Thereby you become as a leader, or you get the complete gain, or you gain the complete confidence in the entire fold of how to face this regulation, what is required, and maybe when the regulation is out there, you already crossed everything. So you must be able to conquer or face this regulation with ease. That's all about regulations. I know a lot of people. When I was doing carbon footprint in 2015, 2013, 2011, that time there was no regulation, but people started doing it. They are all the leaders today. See, nothing comes overnight, right? Nothing comes for free. So it is all about time versus action. So I would say, if you ask me, is it right time? I would say it is already late. You should have reacted yesterday. Now it's already late, but don't think it's already late for sure. But don't think that you don't have chance. Of course, you have chance to act now, but don't procrastinate your actions in terms of doing LCS. Please start right now. Already late. Okay, so if you ask me, is it urgent? I would say no, it's not urgent, rather emergent. Right. So it's all about LCS. It's all about regulations. Now let's talk about what is LCA. It's an acronym which stands for Life Cycle Assessment. What is LCA? It's a internationally recognized and widely accepted methodology as well as tool to evaluate the environmental impacts of a product. You might ask, is it only for product? I would say no. It is for product as well as processes. So if you want to evaluate the environmental impacts of any product or any process per se, you have got many tools out there. LCA is not the only tool. Okay, a tool called material flow analysis also does the same. But out of all the tools, LCA is the widely used and widely accepted, widely renowned methodology and a scientific tool with scientific accuracy and precision on earth. Take it from for sure. There is no tool which is equal to LCA at all, to my knowledge. So LCA is the ultimatum when it comes to measuring the environmental impacts of a product from its raw material till the disposal. Okay, you might ask, what is the objective of this? The objective and scientific evaluation of the product in terms of what resources are required. See, sir, simply you understand what we try to evaluate in LCA. LCA is all about an input-output model. We take into account of all the inputs required for producing a product. Let's say I'm going to produce this t-shirt. It's a masterclass. I'm going to produce a t-shirt, right? What inputs are required? Raw materials, let's say cotton, correct? Water, energy, chemicals, auxiliaries, some other resources, let's say packaging stuff or any other stuff. All these inputs. Then I produce a product. The product comes with waste. There are a lot of emissions of that. So here, now I take into account of what all the inputs required to produce this product, what all the outputs I created, what is the useful product or useful output I created, what are non-useful, what all the product, what are all the outputs with no benefit, but also bringing impacts. So I just take into account of everything for a system, which we call it as product. What LCA does, it takes into account of the entire resource requirements, and while taking the resources from the mother earth, right? You take water from the ground, you take energy by fossil fuels or from wind or from solar power. So you take chemicals by manufacturing this, by deploying some resources, right? All these are resources. Then once you build a product with all these resources, what do you create? Impacts. So what LCA typically does is it quantify all the resources used in creating the product, energy, water, chemicals, auxiliaries, plus it evaluates what is the potential impact on the environment of doing the production of this product in every phase of life cycle. What is every phase? Don't wait for next slide, but I can tell you very quickly. If I have to produce a product starting from raw material, I take cotton, I grow cotton, pick the cotton, then I gin the cotton, right? That's raw material. Then manufacturing. So from ginning field, I transport to the spinning mill. It's spun. Then I transport to the knitting mill. It is knitted. Then I transport this to a processing unit. So let's say it is going to go through the entire process, starting from what? If required singeing, desizing, it's a knitted one, so no desizing. Singeing, scouring, souring, if required one more, say bleaching, then maybe if it has to be neutralized. So then neutralization, then dyeing, that's it. Maybe an embroidery or printing, whatever it's required. This fabric is done. Then I send it to the CMT factory. There I will start spreading, cutting, sewing, pack, completely finish it with all the accessories, whatever needed, send it out to the brands or retailers or customers. That's it. So this is called cradle to gate. Now I'm intended to find out how my customer treats my product, how they dispose the product. Then I will extrapolate the model from cradle to grave. So raw material, manufacturing, distribution, use and disposal. What LCA does? LCA does quantifying all these resources plus the potential impacts arising from each stage from raw material till disposal. That's all about LCA. What could be the metrics I can show it to people? Water, carbon footprint, water footprint, energy footprint, acidification, eutrophication, ecotoxicity, human toxicity. Everything has a unit. human toxicity in terms of 1,4-dichlorobenzene equivalents, energy in terms of megajoules, for example, GHG in terms of kilogram CO2 equivalents. So this is how all the metrics are shown. So you might ask, what is the benefit eventually I'm getting out of this LCA? First, it's a scientific study with ISO standards. So you use credible data to get this impact metrics. So once you complete the study and you want to make claims, I talked about green claims, right? You justify this with the credible data to back that up. Second one, after doing this for a product or a process, you would be able to make more tactical, sustainable decisions which are tangible in your supply chain, and you would be able to modify the supply chain as and when required. You would be able to gain insights to innovate. Okay, you find out that, oh, this process is really, this process is really very much resource intensive. This process demands so much of energy. This process demands so much of, this creates so much of waste. Maybe can I do some innovation? Can I just make it to, let's say, less water process, or like less energy intensive process? You would be able to do all these innovations with an intention. The intention is to create a sustainable product, to protect the environment. End of the day, okay, if I say only to protect the environment, not everyone would be keen. End of the day, there should be a business benefit onto the table. So you bring business benefits. You cut down your resources. You cut down your energy. You cut down your water. What that is going to result with? Reduce the cost. Then, okay, if you want to make any sustainability strategy, sure, your bosses, your management will ask, give me any basis. If you say in a hypothetical way without any data, no one is going to accept. So you need a quantitative basis for taking any strategies that will eventually come out from LCS. Then, last but not least, for sure, this LCA will stand out as a trustworthy partner for your customers, be it brand, retailer, or the final customer. This is going to stand out as a trustworthy partner to showcase the benefits bestowed with your product in terms of your clients. See what I mean? This is all about LCA. Okay, I think I spoke a lot. Now let me give you a graphical illustration of whatever I spoke so far. So this is called LCA. We call this as cradle to grave analysis, or sometimes cradle to gate, depending upon where you stop. You start from raw material, then go to textile production, which includes, let's say, spinning, knitting or weaving, chemical process, bleaching, dyeing, printing, then garment manufacturing, where you have cutting, sewing, finishing, accessories. So you stop there, it's typical gate. So now it's cradle to gate. If you think, no, I still want to go further. Okay, I don't stop at gate. I want to go further. Sure, you can transport the product. Then there's a consumer use. So as a consumer, I use this t-shirt, let's say, for 80 times. What will I do? I wash the t-shirt, dry the t-shirt, iron the t-shirt. So these are the typical actions I do as a consumer. I have to take into account of this for the entire life cycle of the product. Then end of life. Sometimes last decade I used to give a lot of provisions. What will you do? Will you reuse, recycle, landfill, or incinerate? Sorry, now I don't have this luxury or flexibility to ask you all these questions. Eventually, it has to be recycled, right? Very little is going to be disposed. So whatever is done during the end of life treatment, we include that. So that's cradle to grave. Raw material, textile production, garment manufacturing, transportation, use, end of life. That's cradle to grave. In a lot of cases, you do a recycling, and the material, instead of sending to disposal, it becomes as a raw material for the next cycle. Then that's called cradle to cradle. Possible recycling with closed loop. That's called cradle to cradle. So you can do 3 variants with LCA. Not 3, actually many, but majority of the LCAs are done with these 3 variants. One is cradle to gate, which is B2B, business to business. Cradle to grave, which is business to consumer. Cradle to cradle, that is also business to consumer. Last but not least, sometimes we do gate to gate, just a process. You do one innovation, and then you just wanted to find out, hey, how beneficial is this in terms of impacts? How much carbon is being saved? How much water is being saved? How much ecotoxicity has been reduced? So if you want to do that for a particular process, a typical process, say someone is doing is, let's say, silicon based dye, supercritical carbon dioxide dye, low impact product, you can do that for gate to gate. Is that clear? So this is called an example of life cycle. This is what is being done behind the screens. Okay. Right. So now, if if you decide to go with LC, how typically it is done? Generally, LCs are done in many variants. Let me talk about only two variants mainly. One is simple LCA. Simple LCA means you don't have a data for your entire supply chain. Okay. So for example, you are a knitting manufacturer. So you say that, Dr. Muthu, I buy my yarns. I just do knitting. I pack it and send it. Clear? But I want to do credit to gate LC. Sure. What can you do? We will take all the data from secondary data, not your data, but from a credible, widely accepted, scientific based literature or peer reviewed data. So let's say from EcoInvent, it's a database. Okay. So we take from fiber to yarn. That's it. And you have knitting. You give your own data for knitting. We include that. Then rest of the processes, we take it again from second data. Complete the project. This is called simple LC. Okay. And again, you say, Dr. Muthu, even knitting I don't have. No problem. It's very difficult to get it. What can I do? So in simple LCA, no primary data from you. We get everything from second data. We finish the project. It's simple LC. Very simple. You might ask, Dr. Muthu, what details we need to furnish that? You can just give us very basic specification of your product. If it is a fabric, just give us what is the fiber material, what is the mix, what is the blend composition, what is the unit weight, what typical processes you have. That's it. Done. First of all, we will do simple LCA. Now, you are a vertically integrated manufacturer, or even you are a let's say same knitting manufacturer, and you wanted to do a comprehensive LCA. So first do a simple LCA, then go to a comprehensive LCA. In comprehensive LCA part, we will prepare the questionnaire. But even simple LCA will prepare a questionnaire for asking few information. But in comprehensive LCA, we'll get primary data. So now you need to understand what's the difference between secondary and primary. Secondary is you don't own the data. Data is owned by someone. We use that being a representative of your system. Secondary. What is primary? You own the data. Data is owned by you. It is eventually coming from your supply chain. That's called primary data. So we will help you to create a data sheet for each process. You say, Dr. Muthu, I'll be able to get my fiber manufacturer. Okay, send the data for fiber. So you are going to say, I'm a knitter, but still I have a very close relationship with my yarn manufacturer. Cool. Please go ahead. Get the data from your yarn guy. We'll send you the questionnaires. Then knitting, it's your own. So you tell us that we'll be able to get the data. Great. And then you say, Dr. Muthu, one issue is I won't be able to get it from the government manufacturer. Cool, fair enough. That will take it from the second data. That's quite allowed, accepted in the standard. But you say even that also I'll be able to manage to get you primary. Well and good, we get this. That's called comprehensive LCA. So the difference is in comprehensive LCA, primary data first. Okay, that's a crux. We customize the data collection aspect based on your unique attributes and data. It is not that we create a data sheet and send to everyone. No, every customer of us are treated uniquely because you'll have your own. Today I have I had a product which is a, let's say, beach shirt, okay, which is typically a woven shirt made out of a typical sustainable fiber with different prints. So we created a typical data sheet which is quite unique to them, right? And this comprehensive LCA can be made fully compliant with specific standards, let's say, which is ISO 14040/44. So this is a very bulletproof report, comes with a compliant report with standards. So it's international standard. Any country specific, it doesn't have any specific country-wise boundary regulations. You can show this report to anyone else because it's international standard. Okay, you can use it to your customers in US, customers in Europe, customers in Asia, even domestic customers can use whomsoever you want. Second one, the next one, you can take into account of specific innovations. In case of secondary data, you say that, Dr. Muthu, this is a representation of someone else. Yes, unfortunately, yes. I really cannot do anything because it's secondary data. Now you say, no. In one of the processes, let's say in my dyeing, I have a salt recovery. Can you include that? That's a benefit. Yes, we can do it in comprehensive, but I can't do it in simple LCA. Okay, then this brings a very, very good benefit, which brings enormous benefits to you, which is it's a bulletproof. A full third-party reviewed LCA, which can be used anywhere. Okay, even we do LCAs, we'll bring another third-party expert who can review the whole report, and he can give you a statement based on critical review with ISO 14040/44 that can be used everywhere, even in public. Right now, what is the benefit if you do it with Greenstone? So that's an added bonus. It can be combined with platform-driven LCA model. Now, coming to the facts, this LCA, what I told you, comprehensive. This takes time and it's a bit expensive too. Once but you have to understand that is a building block. But if anyone is intending to do the same thing for all their products, I would say it's nearly impossible because it demands so much of resources in terms of manpower, in terms of cost, in terms of everything. Time, very important. So what happens is, that's what, that is the building block we build the platform based upon. Once you get the basic model out of your supply chain, so we have the clear idea of your supply chain. Based on that, we will be able to build a basic block with which you can roll out the LCS for the rest of your products. With the right expertise and support, standard LCAs can be plugged into the Greenstone platform, which we are going to show you in a couple of minutes, which can help you to scale up and easily calculate the variance and footprints of new products. What I mean is, for example, now I use this T-shirt to calculate the carbon footprint through comprehensive LC, standard LC. Now you say, Dr. Muthu, tomorrow I'm adding a new logo. In comprehensive LCAs, I have to repeat the whole thing. But with platform, you don't have to, because its basic model is built. You just have to add this and you can run the LCA by yourself. That is what the benefit is. Now, the same T-shirt, I did this with 100% cotton. And tomorrow your management has decided not to use 100% cotton, conventional cotton, maybe 70% recycled cotton, or 70% virgin cotton, 30% recycled. So you can just do it easily with our platform. This is what we try to bring it out to the scientific fraternity. With that, let's have a quick look at what are the uses of this comprehensive LCAs. Once you do you might ask, if you have platform, should I drop all the comprehensive LCAs? I would say no, because if you use the platform, you would be able to do that for sure. But once you do the comprehensive LCA, you get the clarity because you bring the data, you get everything. So you will know the reality, rather a checkpoint for each level of your supply chain. You would be able to master what needs to be done versus time. So once you get that idea and you will know that what are the low hanging fruits, how can you reduce the impacts, and you know what variants can be added. So followed by comprehensive LCA, you use the platform, you get the intent. That's what we mean. Sometimes you can skip comprehensive LCA, directly you can come to platform. You can still do that. That's also absolutely fine. But you will bring more benefits when you do the first approach, former approach. Comprehensive LCA followed by using the platform. So comprehensive LCA will bring you in-depth analysis. Now you say that, I want to really find out what is the impact of my chemicals used in printing. What is the impact of my wastewater discharge? So I have a BOD, COD of this level, but I want to reduce it. What is that impact? You would be able to do all this kind of in-depth, whatever depth you want, you would be able to go to that level. That is possible only with comprehensive LCA and regulatory compliance. you'll be able to hit any level of regulation, whatever we discussed and whatever I said. I know due to want of time I'm unable to cover any regulation for that matter. You'll be able to hit and meet. Last but not least, R&D aspects. So you want to say now I'm using this complete fabrication method. I want to change it. Sure, you'll be able to find out what is that benefit or impact through your R&D with in terms of impacts. That is all possible with comprehensive LCA. But when this is clubbed with the platform, sky is the limit. Okay. Sorry. Okay, I want to take a couple of minutes to discuss with you about how our team excels in LCS. What is the uniqueness? What is the USP what we have, but which differentiates us from the rest? Which is, just take it from me. Like I review, I'm very humble to say I review a dozen of LCS. Over a period of week, sometimes in a month, depending on my travel schedule. Right? I typically review n number of LCS, give over a period of time. So far, I have reviewed maybe many hundreds of LCS. One thing which I found out from many textile LCS is that lack of textile experience and expertise. When people do LCS, they're not really from textile background. So I can clearly understand when they define functional unit, when they give the recommendations, when they help the client with data, when they deal with the data, it is clearly evident that they lack textile experience and expertise. Most of the textile LCAs, whichever you think which have failed, that's because of this. Number one. Number two, data. I told you, if you talk about LCA, all about data. Ensuring data accuracy results high quality results. Okay, so how much ever quality data you give, that much ever you would be able to get the results with confidence. So data proportional to the results. So you can understand, you can make your equations out there. Third one, subject knowledge. Identifying, so subject knowledge helps in terms of identifying the anomalies in the inputs, outputs, benchmarks. If anything is going above and beyond, we'll be able to figure that out thanks to our subject knowledge on this. Fourth, full value chain. You see, some people would be talking about, no, I'm really very much aware of this only in spinning, but we bring a full value chain expertise, accurate modeling of yarn, fabric, apparel production, not only apparel, even non-wovens, footwear. We bring expertise on many grounds. Then we have a data research team. So we have experts who have done doctorates, who are skilled in literature research and filling the gaps. Error correction. So it's a model. I told you it's an input-output model. So this has its own hypothesis, own assumptions, and there could be few slips here and there from the data point, not only from model, from the data. So we have corrected a lot of such issues in a swift way, swift identification and resolution of errors coming from datasets, databases, your own data, secondary data. You'll be able to figure that out and bring a proper results from the models. And I want to use a very specific word, which is informed dyeing. For example, our team is so experienced in every single thing, and I want to just cite one example of, we have expertise in dyeing methods and chemical use. Okay, so like this, we have got expertise in even niche concepts, niche topics, and we will be, our team is coming with huge industrial experience as well. So not only academics, also with industrial exposure and experience. So we would be with that, we will be able to recommend optimal production processes. What could be the best practices you can follow to reduce the impacts, and how can you make your supply chain furthermore better? So it's all possible with our expertise on the grounds. And how we perform typically comprehensive LCS. So first we do a setup. What we do here is, first we try to understand your product. What is your scope? What is your boundary? What your supply chain consists of? What do you want? What is your exact need? Many people, to my knowledge, they don't really get into that level. We try to do that, and we advise on the approach based on what you need. Where do you want to hit? We would tell you, okay, maybe you can go with EPD. No need. You can just go with cradle to gate, or maybe this is better that you go with cradle to grave. Maybe you should do a survey of consumers, survey of, you can just do a survey with your consumers to find out what is the use and disposal scenarios. So we have done all this so far with hundreds of LCAs, what we have done so far. Second one, we have a unique data collection approach, which I told you before. And we also help you to understand what could be the relevant impact you should study. For example, your product is denim. So that has to be really studied with ear-mouth indicators. I have to really study human toxicity. I have to really study the carbon footprint. I have to really study the water footprint. I have to really study a few other aspects, which are product specific, supply chain specific. That's all we bring. There is no point in studying impact which is not relevant to the product. Okay, that comes only with our expertise and experience, which I told you what we have. Next one, we do an engineered approach from custom data sheets to each supply chain. And we can extend the support of collecting primary data from your supply chain, including use and disposal. Take it from me, very less people have knowledge and experience in administering consumer surveys to get the real use, reuse, disposal scenarios. And we have done enormous LCAs of that sort. Third one, output and analysis. So first is setup, data collection. Third one is output and analysis. We can help you to find hotspots by means of a scientific assessment and do with interpretation. We will also help you with scenario analysis. We'll deliver you a report with uncertain analysis, scenarios, alternative scenarios, and what could be the impacts, what is the feasibility, what is the recommendations. So a report comes with all these features. And last but not least, which is very important, as you heard from Akhil, I sit with a lot of committees with PCR and many such committees. So all our reports, analysis are in alignment with up-to-date regulations and standards. Not only that, sometimes futuristic point of view also, because we come to know what is going to be out there, let's say next year or maybe 2 years later. We will be able to bring that as well when we do LCS. So all these aspects, then will help you even beyond LC. What is it? So we have developed a suite of services from Green Story to understand the implications to your supply, to your entire business and the supply chain, to implement the strategies to make use of the whole LCA. So I have done an LCA for your complete, product, encompassing all your supply chain stages. So what is that? Now you need to reduce it. So I just give you some recommendations here and there. That's not going to help you out. So I have to really help you with finding out what's the differences in footprints. For example, now you do this and I give you recommendations. You incorporate. Next year we do the reassessment. Try to find out, okay, you reduce 20%. Great. Now let's go further, right? For that, you might require some coaching. We would be able to give you on-site coaching. We can come on-site, or if you require off-site, even with video, with remote coaching also we'd be able to do. Then you'll be able to find out what are the low-hanging fruits and which ones to target now. So what is the target plan, short-term, medium-term, long-term versus return on investment. This all we will be able to help you to ascertain with. Finally, reduction roadmaps, utilization of carbon credits, reassessments, all that are possible with Green Story's suite of services that helps you beyond LCA. So don't think LCA is the stopping point, rather it's a beginning point to begin a lot of things to reassess the entire situation and to make your product completely sustainable or with least footprints possible. And in terms of supply chain sustainability support, whatever suite of services I just mentioned before, we also do a primary data validation. So I told you that we help you to engineer the data sheets. You get the data, we just check. We can also come on site to validate the data. I think no one does it. We try to do that. It's our USP. So we just come and solve all the problems when it comes to data on site. We figure out, we close everything. We just find out that this is the final data before we plug in to the models. so that we come and do it on site. And as Akhil said, we are one of the verifier bodies for HIG. We do general verification as well as we do HIG verification, including chemicals level 2 and 3. So this is all, to help you with a necessary supply chain support as you might require down the line. And we have done enormous case studies for various brands, retailers, manufacturers due to want of time, salary time. So let me take one example of a case study what we did for a big brand called Pangaya. It was public, so you can just check this case study out. You can check this, information about our LCS, what we did, what we have done for Pangaya public too. So we have done for enormous list of materials for Pangaya, starting from milkweed, flower down, sea fiber, food fibers like banana, pineapple, bamboo lyocell, plant fibers, nettle denim, hemp denim, peppermint in the finishing step, PLA. So you can see that they're all, first of its kind LCS. You would not be able to figure out these LCS were done before. So we did first of its kind, very unique LCS for Pangaya. So this case study is, already public. And how we did very quickly. So we started with defining the goal. We helped the client like Pangaya in this case to understand the system boundary. We started working with them, their supply chain partners, to collect foreground data, and we did the gap analysis. Then with our expert team, who are all mostly PhDs, we tried to fill the data gaps. We did model, and we did the analysis with a great deal of scientific notations to it. Finally, we just did an iterative process in terms of going back to the suppliers, finding out what they need to do to make the impacts further reduced. So we did all this. So it's a very comprehensive step we did with Pangaya. Of course, this is the same thing we do for all the clients. I just want to showcase one example what we did with Pangaya. So the results, of course, I cannot show the results. You can see this is how the results were shown as an example. So you can see the impact categories like blue water consumption in terms of kilograms, global warming potential in terms of 100 year GWP for kg CO2 equivalents as a unit, and then PED, primary energy demand in megajoules. Then, what is the insight? What we brought is, we just brought what are the significant impacts compared to traditional materials. So first we listed out what are the hotspots from the supply chain analysis for a particular product, right? So for example, transportation could be an impact. So for other fiber, the main impacts are coming from the, let's say, one chemical typically used in cultivation. Example of that sort, this process, that process. So just we give them examples or rather recommendations to reduce them. Then we also did a scenario analysis by comparing them with the traditional materials, how beneficial they are or how impactful they are. If beneficial, how can they go further to make further benefits out of it? If they're impactful, how can they reduce the impacts? So that's what typically we did in terms of LCA impacts, insights rather. Then now let's talk about, okay, so you have understood that what is the science of LCA, what is the variant, what is the regulations, what are the standards driving LCA, and I also exemplify the process what we have in-house with Green Story to undertake simple LCA, custom LCA, what all the aspects we do, what are the USPs, how we approach the subject. Plus, I also give you an example of a client, Pangaya, how did we deal with their LCS. Now, let me talk about our platform. As I told you, the platform is really going to help you to leverage the best possible data and to help you with the hybrid calculation method to generate high accuracy and credibility in a SaaS system like us. So for example, you have to begin with something. Start with some data that's available. So someone say, I have only tier 1. Good enough. Start with tier 1. Plug in the data based on the hierarchy. If you have tier 1, maybe you say, I have tier 2 off. Go ahead. So run the LCA. Later on, you get data. Keep on replenishing it. Set completion goals and timelines. For example, now this year I'll get tier 1 to 2 with 80% validated primary data. Going forward, next year I'll make 90%. So that is all possible with the platform. And you are not alone. That's a USP from that. That's a benefit from Green Story. You are with an expert LCA team. Okay, that is going to bring out expertise and experience in textiles as well as expertise and experience in LCS. So you have such a bounty working with a team like Green Stories. So you have that which can be brought in to ensure gaps are plugged as per the best estimates possible. Then going forward, you can increase the data accuracy and reliability based on the time and priority. You see, first we begin with green dots, green or primary data, and the yellow ones are proprietary data, and the white ones are secondary data. So first we begin with maximum secondary data, followed by which small primary data. You roll it on with little secondary data, maximum primary data with less primary data, maximum proprietary data, less primary data. Third step, you maximize it with maximum primary data, less proprietary data, zero secondary data. You see what I mean? So these are all step-by-step approaches. It is possible only with the platform. Otherwise, it's possible, but it's going to be really very expensive. So our platform, which you are going to see a demo in a couple of minutes, that will help you to scale up. When you want to, for example, if you want to do 5 products, still it's fine. You can do it comprehensive, custom LC, what I explained to you before. But you want to scale it out with thousands of products, hundreds of products, million SKUs, what can you do? The only way is to go with a platform-driven LC. So here you need product detail, supply detail, what certificates and documents you need to assemble a product. So this is all you need. Come to the platform, which is an intelligent data engine that comes with all these aspects of scenario analysis, metadata, internal library, supply network, primary data sets, certification documents to be analyzed. So with all that, which can be enriched in the whole supply chain, calculating the footprint, review data, and calculate the score, that will help you with getting an ISO report. You can visualize the impacts. You can manage the impacts in terms of offsetting if you want. So however way you want to manage, all will be done through platform. You see, the platform is the engine which is fueled by all this, and you get all these enormous benefits. And this gives enormous benefits and features. It comes with a lot of features. For example, you get instant insights. You don't wait for example, if a typical LCA takes 2 weeks or 2 months, you don't wait for that. You take instant insights. That helps you with faster sourcing decisions. You want to say, I want to go with recycled polyester or virgin polyester. In terms of impacts, you can get it instantly with platform by yourself with our support. And you want to manage the risk and cost instantly. Just you can plan, and as per your plan, exactly you'll get all the benefits. That is all. Some of the benefits and salient features bestowed with Green Stories platform. And when you do with platform-driven LCA, then only the scalability is possible, and you can have standard processes with any custom processes with innovations. That's also possible. And with the platform, you are having a support of strong secondary data, which is scientifically credible. And last but not least, our approach. As I told you, LC is all about data, data, data. What we do in terms of data, how we approach the subject of data is with the robust approach. We do primary data first approach. We make sure that higher accuracy and reliability scores are achieved with primary data. And we try to localize all the aspects using your primary data. Then we use only validated data sets. We just don't take Google-based data. We have proprietary data sets from our in-house expert team. We use credible, peer-reviewed, scientifically approved data sets like EcoInvent, third-party review, peer-reviewed studies. And we also use recognized methods. I told you already. We use ISO standards, bulletproof methods. And we also have a validation team and a review team within ourselves and also from outside. So based on your request and requirement, everything is possible to manage, to make sure that you speak your data with utmost confidence, and you speak the results coming with your data with our LCA with all the possible confidence on earth. So that is what we try to help you with. Speak your results with utmost confidence. Okay, so that's how we approach the subject. Now, sorry, I wanted to cut short, but it's a masterclass, so I just gave you a very detailed deliberation and explanation of all these aspects. Now, I'll invite my colleague, who is our product manager, to give you a demonstration of how our platform does work.
Thank you, Dr. Muthu. Just from my side, I'm just going to try and share the video here as well to see if that works. Sound. Please let me know when you can see it, and I'll play the video as well.
Hello everyone. Today we are taking a quick look at Green Story's product sustainability platform designed specifically for the textile industry. Let's start by exploring how a system calculates the environmental footprint of a product. Let's consider 1 kg of cotton polyester fabric with a 80-20 material composition. I have already added the product in the system and leveraged the intelligence of an auto-generated supply chain with secondary data. I have also assigned primary suppliers to the components. A common challenge encountered with few of the components is that we cannot pinpoint the exact suppliers producing them. A platform provides the flexibility to handle this information by assigning the geography, that is, either the country or region of production. Now let's take a look at the supply chain chart view, which was auto-generated by the system. So as you can see, it starts with the fabric and also gives information about all of its upstreams such as yarn, fiber, and their upstreams as well. Again, every component can break into more detailed information such as the material composition, the input components, the supplier and the facility producing the component, the suppliers from whom the inputs are procured, the mode of transportation of these inputs to the production plant. And next step is the most crucial information, which is the actual process of production and the parameters itself. The system provides you the flexibility to choose the processes or the steps which is involved in the production and also update the primary data. But for this version, I'm not going to be updating any of the primary data and I'm going to use the secondary data that is already available in the system. So I'm going to the supply chain and calculating the footprint here. So now once you run the footprint calculation, you will be able to get the total climate change for 1 kg of conventional cotton and polyester blend. So here, as you can see, we get about 22.742 kg carbon dioxide equivalent. So now I'm going to update one of the processes in the supply chain with the primary data. So let's start with the conventional cotton polyester fabric and let's go into the manufacturing process. So here I'm updating the primary data for the circular netting process. So instead of a 2 kilowatt hour, I'm going to be using around 4 kilowatt hours of low voltage electricity and I'm going to keep the grid and cogeneration equal. So I'm saving this information and I'm going to be running the footprint calculations again. So here, as you can see, once you come to the manufacturing process or the supply chain, we can run the footprint calculations. So now once you run the footprint calculation, the footprint gets recalculated based on the updated information. So here you can see we increase the electricity used and the footprint is different. Now let's take this fabric and use it in a product, let's say a t-shirt. So I'm going to go back to the product listing screen and use this crew neck t-shirt. So let's open the chart view of the t-shirt directly. And here you can see it has a default supply chain of conventional cotton fabric. Now I'm going to be replacing this component with the cotton polyester fabric that we had added already. So I'm choosing the conventional cotton polyester fabric that we have already customized and I'm using it in this process. This allows brands to seamlessly access your supply chain information and scale the inputs based on the weight of the product. So as you can see here, the cotton polyester fabric got attached to the t-shirt and it automatically scaled based on the weight of the t-shirt. So now you can see the entire supply chain got attached and we can rerun the footprint calculation here. Now once the footprint is calculated, you will be able to see the footprint for producing 200 grams of t-shirt which uses a conventional cotton polyester fabric. So here you can see it starts with the total climate change at the top And you can see various impact categories such as blue water consumption, primary energy demand under the Green Story reporting standard. We also have different reporting standards such as PEF, EPD, and ISO 14067. Depending upon these reporting standards, the impact categories are also different. Again, the system also provides you an option to drill down the footprint further. So in the drill down view, you can see each of the component that is being produced and what is the impact value of the total component. And drilling down, you can again see the total footprint of each of the processes used here. So you can see for each process and parameter level, the detailed breakdown of the footprint. Apart from this, we also have different functions such as supplier network, where you can manage all the suppliers and subcontractors who are there in your network. Analytics and reports of all the products that you've added, the supply chains, and the footprints calculated. Our future updates include a complete documentation module, hotspot analysis, and scenario analysis, which helps you improve your sustainability journey. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. So that ends the presentation for today. If you do want to reach out for anything, I've set my email below as well. My email, just to kind of clarify, is akhil@greenstory.io. You can also reach out to Dr. Muthu here. His contact details are available over here. So it's kannan.muthu@greenstory.io. You can also reach out to him on LinkedIn or in his numbers listed below. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us. And we're very glad to have had you in our first LCA masterclass. And my big thanks to Dr. Muthu for conducting this as well.